Johnny, get your gun, get your gun, get your gun. Take it on the run, on the run, on the run. Hear them calling you and me, every son of liberty.
So you think we did And the World Goes Round at the Old Union in...
Christmas 14, I think.
Right, okay. And that was with Gareth, Snook, Lisa Stocker...
Emma Francis
and Susan Fay.
Look
at me, I know.
Correct.
And there were other people in it as well, but I'm not even going to try. And then you did around the same time Titanic. So that was 2 shows off West End. Mm-hmm. And what is it that attracts you to that kind of work? Is it for both? It was the titles, it was the director, it was the opportunity. What was it? What attracted you?
The money.
Right. Yeah. Okay. A couple of years later, you ended up going to Toronto with Titanic.
Out of the blue. Mm-hmm. We did 10 weeks in London in 2013, and then in 2015, suddenly there was this 7-week engagement in Toronto, in a big, proper, great, big, massive theatre, the Princess of Wales. And I think we got over half of the company were available, the original company.
Yeah. And then 2 years later, you went to Toronto again.
Yes. With Mrs. Henderson Presents,
right?
The Terri Johnson play that Terri also directed.
Because I haven't seen it. So what did you play? Because I never saw it. I should have done.
I played Lord Cromer, the Lord Chamberlain, who was the censor. So it was when Mrs. Henderson wanted to do the nude review, she had to get it passed by the censor. An incredible role.
Yeah. Well, I remember you saying, because we spoke about it just as you, I think, were about to start rehearsals.
Yeah.
And you were saying it's kind of minimal effort, maximum gags for this role. I think was your quote.
It was, but I can't. It was Robert Hans who played it originally in the West End production. I rang him about it, and he said, "Minimum input, maximum return."
That was it. That was it.
Because it's a wonderful vignette of a role, but extraordinary, very funny.
And of course, working with Tracy Bennett. Yeah, who I heard was incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Oh, she's fantastic.
Yeah.
Who's in Follies at the moment. At the
exactly,
National.
Which was actually what I was going to kind of come on to. She's doing... So this incredible production of Follies has just opened at the National. You've seen it.
Yes.
But of course, there's a bit more weight for you seeing that, because you were in the original London company.
The original London company,
playing young Ben.
Well, Follies actually has quite a big impact on my life, because in 1985... my very first trip to New York, I landed on the Saturday morning, and in the evening I had been invited, and I was sitting in the second row, centre, at the Avery Fisher Hall for the Follies concert, the famous Follies concert that Barbara Cook...
Yeah. And they made a whole documentary about it,
yeah. And if you pause the documentary at a certain point while Barbara Cook's singing Losing My Mind, you see me.
Are you credited?
Yes. You can just see me in the audience. But Elaine Stritch, Mandy Patinkin, George Hearn, wasn't it?
What an amazing collection of people.
Yeah, extraordinary. And then 2 years... And it's from that concert that Cameron McIntosh got the idea of doing it in London, and then in 1987 he did the first London production.
So the production of Follies that you did was actually quite different from the original version and the one that's playing at the National now.
Yes, the one at the National now is the original Broadway script.
Yeah.
The one that we did in 1987 was the same thing. It was the same show, but it was lighter. It wasn't so dark. They wanted to make it lighter. And in fact, Steven Sondheim wrote, and off the top of my head, I think it's 4 new songs. So 4 songs were cut and changed, and he did rewrites.
Right.
New material.
And what was that experience like? Because presumably if Sondheim was doing rewrites, he was involved in the rehearsals.
Yeah, he was there.
Wow.
Amazing. And they did quite a lot of work with the 4 leads and their 4 ghosts. The young Ben, young Buddy, young Sally, young Phyllis. And so we were in a rehearsal room for a couple of weeks every afternoon with Steven Sondheim and James Goldman.
Obviously, having been so involved in that original London production, you've gone to see this new production that's played at the National. And that must have been... I think I'd find something like that quite emotional.
It was, because it was a big time. You know, it was 30 years ago this year, our one. And of course, I'm so familiar with it, and I know the script, and I know the lyric. You know, I just know it. And it was, but it's very different from ours, and it's very different from the original. The way it's been directed.
It's about people returning to the theatre and reliving the past. So for you, that must have been quite poignant. You know, coming back somewhat older. How beautifully phrased. And reliving this experience.
And now being the age of all the older characters. Yeah, it was extraordinary. So powerful.
Was Sondheim there the night you went?
He was.
Was he?
Yes.
And did you have a moment?
We had a moment in the backstage bar, and he said, there are some performances in this production at the National that are the best performances of the characters he's ever seen. And then I said, and you're not going to tell me who that is? He said, no, I'm not. So I think he's very pleased with it.
Yeah, good. How nice to be able to just go up to Sondheim and say, hi, remember me? Did he remember you?
Of course, yeah. Well, I say of course. Yes, of course. But I did the original production of Passion. The original West End Passion. And I did the
Jeremy Sams one.
And I did Sunday in the Park.
It
was at the chocolate factory that went to Wyndham.
That's
so it was
right.
the first, that West End one. And
so you are,
yes.
And he's all of which you saw, obviously.
Yes, and I've seen him occasionally. He's been to see my cabaret in New York and stuff. Oh, right. Yeah.
Now, speaking of cabarets in New York, you've just come back with a little award in your pocket. Talk a little bit about that.
We did it. It was a new show that I've worked for 20 years with David Trubsole, musical director, arranger, supervisor, genius. And we have created a lot of work together over all these years. And 4 times we've taken shows, each one a different show, to New York. And this show was called Life is for Living. Conversations with Coward. So it's got a Noel Coward theme running under it. And we did it at Christmas for 3 weeks, and we were nominated for a Drama Desk Award, which we then won.
And you'll be doing it this time with David?
Absolutely. I do all my work with David, all my cabaret work, and although it looks like it's me showing off, standing there showing off with David playing the piano, it's an absolute double act. We create it together. There's a lot of text, a lot of poetry, poems set to music, segues into themes, sequences, and he directs me, and it's been
brilliant. I worked with David on tonight, and he is absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So you're going to be doing that during the evening and rehearsing this during the day with me?
I am.
And how do you feel about what's it? Do you double? I assume that's not something that you're new to. You've had to kind of be doing something in the evening and rehearsing for the next day.
Well, you just have to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But we did it for 3 weeks in New York. We had a proper run. It wasn't just, a couple of odd nights. So it's really in my bones, and I'm just getting it back and getting all the lyrics
now
back.
You've got to get Terri in your bones.
Going to get Terri in my bones.
Yeah.
Well, it's such a wonderful role. It's fantastic. And I did, a year ago, I did the tour of Priscilla playing Bernadette.
I came to your press night in Manchester.
Oh, yes, of course. I'd forgotten that. And of course, Bernadette is a transgender. It's a sex change, isn't a drag artist or a man playing a woman.
She's a transgender woman who does drag.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I'm telling you about the part that you played for a year and a half.
But this is it's a lovely role, and it's a really, really good play. It's a classic play.
A little bit like Bernadette. Terri is very much one of those parts that could be played badly. Everyone think, put on a pair of heels, be a bit camp and it'll be fine. But actually, there's so much more there. Yeah. This is such a brilliantly written play. I was only familiar with the film.
Yes.
But the play is like 50 times better. Yeah.
And it's, it's early 70s, isn't it, the play? It was when it's written. And there's racism, sexism, homophobia. the political stuff, all the stuff with the communists, the communist army. And
well, it's frighteningly relevant as well, considering how old it is. It's you're reading it and you're thinking, goodness me, you know, not that much. You know, with speaking of transgender, the troops in America, you know, they're no longer welcome in the army, and you know, there's so many things running through there that are...
I think it's quite well chosen. It's a very timely piece to do.
Well, thank you.
And thank you for asking me to do it.
Johnny, get your gun, get your gun, get your gun. Take it on the run, on the run, on the run. Hear them calling you and me, every son of liberty.